I'm Larry Menti. Welcome to Jersey Matters. It is hard to believe it's almost been 3 years since Superstorm Sandy ravaged the Jersey coastline, and there are still some people waiting for help, and somehow they have disappeared from the list of people who are waiting for that help. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, I want to introduce you to Joe Mangino and Sandy Mackay, who are with the New Jersey Organizing Project. So let's back up for a second before we get to the list. And Sandy, what is the New Jersey Organizing Project?
We're a nonprofit organization, nonpartisan, that our goal is to help right now people come home from ravaged situations at the shore. But we're a Jersey Shore community. There's a lot of environmental issues, but right now our focus is bringing people back home from, the visit of Sandy almost 3 years ago.
And Joe, I remember all the ads, we're stronger than the storm, New Jersey is back, we're fine. That is the farthest thing from the truth.
Right. I'd like to think we're getting there, but we're not there yet, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And part of our job is to keep those Sandy families relevant and current, and keep them in the news so they're not forgotten.
And is there a fear of that? Is that happening? Do you think they're forgotten?
Yes, because I think people look at the tourism and the rebuilding of, the second homes and the businesses there, but we live off some of those islands, and we're looking at the people who live there day to day, and there's a lot of them that are just not home yet, and that's what we're looking at, is that.
And I want to talk about your personal situations. You both have homes that were hit by Sandy?
Absolutely.
Joe, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I did. My home was damaged.
Where do you live?
My business was damaged in Beach Haven West in Stafford Township. So we were out of our house for 6 months. We moved into a gutted home, rebuilt it, and then I went through the RREM program trying to get the funding to raise my home. So as a matter of fact, today I received my final approvals. I've been going over 1,000 days now trying to get my project finished.
I'm glad you stayed with it, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Sandy, how about you?
Yes, 3.5 feet of water in my home of over 30 years. I worked and lived in the community for all these years. I'm also in the same community Joe is in. Moved back home after 10 months of fixing up the inside because our governor said to come home, so I did. And then lived home for about 13 months and moved back out again to raise my home so that hopefully I'll never have to go through what I did before. And that took 6 months, and I've been home now for a couple months, and there's still some projects to be done, but I'm fairly much home.
And there are people much worse off than the two of you.
Absolutely.
And tell me some of the worst stories, Joe.
Well, there are people that are still in that whole process of getting their funding. So right now they're paying for a mortgage on a house that they're not living in, and they're paying for rental, a house to rent and live in. They're shuttling their kids back and forth to school. They have no money, and those are the good situations. There's families that are literally living in one bedroom trying to get by, and this is going on 3 years, and they have exhausted everything they have. So we're hoping these people can get home, but the problem is once they get home, they're still going to struggle to stay in that home, and that's something else we're working on because they have exhausted everything they have.
Right, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there was a program set up for temporary housing, and that only was for a year, right, Sandy? And so that money would run out after a year, and some people still had to pay a mortgage on a home that didn't exist, and now they have to pay rent, and many people had the home that didn't exist go into foreclosure.
And those are two big issues. One, because of we'd like to, think of our activism and pressure on the powers to be, that there has been new funding for housing for people for several months, up to a year, and an increase, which we know at this past time of year during the summer, living at the Jersey Shore is a very expensive proposition. So there has been some funding due to the dire situations of people. And another thing that our organization is looking to take care of is the foreclosure issue, because there are skyrocketing numbers of people who are now just walking away because they cannot afford to come back home.
And you're right, there isn't a lot of coverage of this. I mean, this is such a horrible story, and there doesn't seem to be enough coverage. You mentioned the RREM program, and I alluded to this at the top of the show. First of all, what does RREM stand for?
RREM is Rehabilitation, Reconstruction, Elevation, and Mitigation. And that is supposed to be our state's premier recovery program to help people get home.
And there was a lot of people that signed up for this.
Correct.
And then they looked at the list, and suddenly half those names disappeared from the list.
We are now down to about 8,000 people in that program. Out of the 8,000, I think there are only 1,600 families that are completed and are back in their homes. And on top of that, there are another 5,000 to 7,000 that kind of disappeared. Either they determined they weren't eligible, they dropped out because of the complex maze of paperwork. They've gone, and we don't know what happened to them.
Are you searching for them at this point? I mean, these are people that I assume still need help.
We have tried to ask. We have even gone down to Washington, D.C. to speak with HUD, which is one of the deputies there, who really, they are the ones who have turned the money from Washington to New Jersey to find out what has happened. And we've been pushing for transparency in the program. We've worked with Senator Sweeney here in New Jersey, because that's what we're wondering is, you know, we want to see we're never going to be the same that we were before the storm, but we want to see people come back home. And to see people that are in their 70s and crying because they've given their life savings now to rebuild a home and have to start all over again, it's heartbreaking.
Now, you made a point in the very beginning of saying you're nonpartisan. So you don't blame anybody?
Well, you know, there is somebody in charge of the state, so yeah, and...
Running for president?
Yes, and we have the State of State. We were a news item 2 years ago, this past January, as we stood on the steps of the Capitol trying to remind our governor that we're still not home. We were not even a mention in the State of the State. So Sandy recovery is not a hot ticket item, and therefore our organization is trying to take up the slack, because we do have to work with the political system because they do hold the money.
So you don't want to make anybody too mad at you. You don't want to get anybody too upset.
I'll say I blame everybody.
Yes.
I blame everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Including the media? Has the media done a good job in covering this?
In parts, and I know they're going to pick it up again as we come to the third year anniversary of the storm. So, I mean, we do have friends that do help keep the topic in the news and on headlines, and we need to do that until everybody gets home.
Would you like to see the governor press more as he's out in the campaign trail running for president?
Yeah, because the thing is, the job is not finished here in New Jersey, and I do believe that the state of New Jersey is paying for him to do a job, and I think the citizens of the state have been shortchanged. And Joe and I know many people. We know one of our colleagues who's now in his 14th residence since the storm. His house is finally being rebuilt. Our governor needs to be addressing the dire issue and rebuilding our economy.
I'm sure these stories that you're telling have touched people. Can people help?
Absolutely. We are always looking for help. We're looking for people that need help, too. We're going to help as many people as we can. The best way to reach us is we have a fantastic website, NewJerseyOP.org, New Jersey Organizing Project. We have fundraisers that we do, so we can, you know, get people together. We meet once or twice a month, if not more when necessary, where we can bring people into the community. October 27th, we're meeting down in Stafford Township, where people can come and get answers or help be part of the solution.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good luck to you, and please come back, especially if you have an update on your organization or getting help, or even if you get some help on your own homes. Joe Mangino and Sandy Mackay from the New Jersey Organizing Project, helping people who were displaced because of Superstorm Sandy. When we come back, another New Jersey organization that helps those who are stationed overseas and now they need help. We'll talk more about that when Jersey Matters continues.